here's how a Tupperware party works, just kind of letting you in on it. So you walk in and let's say, I don't know, you took on Celeste, right? It's at Celeste's crib, mansion, right? It's at her house, her mansion by now, right? And Celeste is like, we're having a Tupperware party, everybody come in. And everybody invites people, right? So everybody invites one person, and we're all sitting in the living room in Celeste's house, right? And this is what they do. Here's what Tupperware people do that's just brilliant. Instead of trying to talk about their product, what they're going to do is what? Let people talk about it. So here's what they do. So let's say that Celeste brought in Sarah, right? Where's Marble at? Right? They bring her in. She's going to talk about the product, right? Celeste, before she gets going with Sarah, she says to the group, okay guys, thank you for coming. You guys are real great. How are the hors d'oeuvres? Great, great. Good, aren't they? Fantastic. Before we get started, what I want to do is this. I said, I want to go around the room, just everybody quickly introduce yourself and, you know, who you're here with. So you say, I'm with Dot, I'm with Rhonda, I'm with Sally, I'm with Sonia, you know, this is what I can. I said, so everybody says, here's why we're here, right? Then, here's where the evil, brilliant part comes in. Then, Celeste says, how many people here have Tupperware? And people what? The people who invited somebody said what? This. I said, well, why don't you tell me a little bit about your experience with Tupperware and why you love Tupperware? And so you get up and you say, well, I love Tupperware because, you know, God, just so you could stack them. It's so much easier. I can manage my cabinet space much better. I really love it. Right? Okay? That's one person. How about you? Well, you know, they got this new glass bowl with the little thing, you know, the glass top, you can see through it, so you can actually see what's in there from leftovers. And I can see if I can reheat. My husband loves that. Right? And so they get the idea. And they go around the room and everybody's what? Giving their testimonial. Now, stop. Just stop the movie for a second. Psychologically, what is happening in the room is amazing, if you think about it. The people who are there and don't have Tupperware are now thinking what? Right. I need some Tupperware. But now, the people who declare they love Tupperware have gone on the what? Record, right? Now, Celeste calls up Sarah. Sarah comes up, right? She does just a small little presentation on the new products they're offering. And then she says, whoever's interested in buying some new products, there's the sign-up sheets, right? Now, psychologically, what's happening in the room is the people who declared their testimony for the Tupperware are going to say, well, I'm going to look like a fool if I don't buy something, right? And they're going to go buy something. And then the people who are watching, everybody else, already are thinking, maybe I should get some, and I should at least buy something, or else Celeste will never invite me to her crib, right? That type of thing. So all of a sudden, if Sarah was the host, did she really do any selling? Everybody convinced themselves. Now, hold that thought, because I'll come back to it. Fourth act. Okay, so we taught 3 acts. The first one is find why. It's either about what? Health, wealth, well-being, right? Let's go with this. This will always remind you of it. Right? Health, wealth, well-being, right? And then we know we got 3 types of customers. People who are concerned will buy. People who are convinced they don't need you. What do we do with them? Angry, right? And complacent people, we need to convince them, right? Listen, ask great questions. Then we get people to commit. Let me show you how I tie commitment in. The last one has nothing to do with the product, okay? I don't know, this is just a coincidence on the block part, okay? This is just a coincidence. It's not about absorption, 48% on the left, okay? So this is just, I just found out about it. I'm like, I'm not changing my presentation now. That's just the way it is, right? Because what I'm about to show you, I really need you right now. At this moment, I really need you to focus. I need all of your attention. What I'm about to show you is so life-changing from a selling standpoint that you'll never have to sell again. Watch. This is a new way of sharing, not selling. How do you reduce buyer resistance in such a way that you're not selling? Do you want to know? Yes or no?
Yeah.
All right. When somebody objects to a sale, what do? Say it out. We're taught to what? You have to overcome the objection. Yes, you with me? But wait a minute. I just told you that if somebody publicly states something, the chances of you changing their mind are what? But isn't an objection a public statement? Yes or no? Once people make an objection, yeah, it's too expensive. That's it, they've taken a position. Network marketing doesn't work. I've tried it before. And as soon as they say that, they what? Taking a position. So the question is, we don't want somebody to say that. So what we want to do is control the conversation. So what we want to do is not overcome. Overcoming objection is so old school that new school is about what? Blocking the objections. Because if you know how to block an objection, it is amazing how you do it. This system has made me so much money, it is not funny. And I'm going to share it with you. And the only reason I'm going to share it with you is because why? Thank you. All right. How do you block an objection? By raising it. Nothing new there. It's how you put them all to bed. Now, this is a blocking structure. It looks complicated. And by the way, you don't have to write any of this part down. I have a book, an audio. You will get this for free. Is that cool? Why? Yeah. Okay? So, if we know what the objection is, the first thing I want to do is raise the objection. I want to offer to resolve it. And I'm going to show them something, demo something, and I'm going to tie it down. Tie down, not the sale, I'm going to tie down the objection. Here it is. Let me just give you an example. If I were to ask you right now, we were huddled in a room just kind of brainstorming, and I said, what are the top 3 to 5 objections you typically get? You could give them to me, right? 3 to 5 objections. So you know that your customer has 3 to 5 objections typically in their head. Some may look like this. Why? Does this look right? Why is the product FDA approved? Is it expensive? Will it work for who? I'm not a salesperson. I really don't want to do this. It just seems hard, right? And the last one is what? I've tried it, so why is this different? Now imagine that you're walking into a little meeting with 10 people, and now you know that those objections are there in their head. Bad selling is to ignore the objections and wait for them to come up. Old school. New school is we're going to control the conversation by what? Raising the objections ourselves. If I know, here's what I would do. First, I write out typical objections I get. Leaders, this is what I want you to do with your team. I'm giving you a system to put in place. List out the typical objections you get. Step number 2, you're going to use a blocking structure to develop a script. What you're going to say. Don't get intimidated. It's this easy. What you're going to say, let's say that I just start out a meeting. And I know one of the objections is, why isn't this FDA approved if it's so good? Right? Now, you know the elephant's in the room. You know the elephant's in the room. Deal with it. Deal with it intelligently. Don't wait for somebody to go, why isn't FDA approved? Because as soon as they say that, what happens? Here's what happens. Let me give you a vision. It's powerful. You got 10 people in the room. The presentation, you ever had a presentation that's going really well? You know what I mean? It's that presentation that's just fluid. It's so good that even you're impressing yourself in your head. Damn, I'm good. Right? That's your little person. Wow, I am really good. Right? And then and then you say something like, oh, that sounded really, you know, and you start talking to yourself while you're presenting, right? And you tell your little person, shut up, I'm trying to present. Right? That whole thing. It's a little multiple personality, but you understand. But then the presentation's going well, and then my friend here, you yell what? You yell what? Yeah, he said, why is that day approved? Stop. He just took a what? A position, a stance, right? The other 9 people were enjoying the presentation until he said something. And now, what are they thinking? Why is it that? Maybe I should make a decision right now. I think I'll hold off on that. What he just did is poison the room. Would you agree? So you don't want that. So what you're going to do is say something like this. You're going to raise the objection. You're going to say, you know, one of the questions I always get is, if it's so good, why isn't it FDA approved? Valid question, right? That's what you're going to say. It's that simple. I just raised the objection. I'm dealing with the elephant. Then I'm going to resolve it. Well, let me answer that question by showing you a few things, right? And then what you do is you go through your demo part, right? At this point, you can show some slides or a jar of vitamins, right? I'm just giving you a simple example. I said, let me ask you a question. And thank you, Molly Orr, for this example, right? What am I that? Right? And so what you can do is say, here's a vitamin. Is this FDA approved? People are going to go, no. Is this one FDA approved? No. Third one? No. So in other words, for something to be good for you, does it really have to be FDA approved? Yes or no? No. As soon as they said no, did I just tie down that objection? Yes. Now, the beauty of that is you just dealt with it. you closed it, you put a lock on it, it's done. So by the time you get to the end of your presentation, that is no longer an objection for them not moving forward. Is that cool? Yes or no? Yeah. Now, let's put it all together. When you're doing this, when somebody raises a question you have, it reduces their resistance because you're like, well, I'm glad she brought it up because I was kind of like, I didn't want to ask. Right? So you're reducing resistance, right? And then here you're just building credibility. But here's what's interesting. So I list the objections, 3 to 5. This is how you're going to train your team up. This is how this works. Then you're going to write out these little response block structures. Just a simple script. Did that script look simple? Yes or no? Yeah. Simple script, right? The last part is you're going to build your presentation accordingly. I want you to look at your presentation. And let's pretend for a moment that it's a 45-minute presentation you typically give. A little long, if you ask me. But let's just use that as an example. What I want to do now is look at my presentation and look at the sequence of it and ask myself, where am I blocking each of these objections I know that's in the audience? I got 45 minutes to do it, so maybe in the first 5 minutes, I bring up the FDA approved. And I what? Block that objection. When you first talk to somebody, the resistance is always high, yes or no? And so when you block that first objection, you'll feel like, I'm glad he brought it up. Then you're going to block the second one. Is it too expensive? Many people tell me that joining organizations like this may be too expensive. Let me walk through some simple things, right? Okay, get the idea? And you walk through the price structure. Then you bring up the next one. Will it work for me? Another question I get is, will it work for me? And again, you walk through the script and you do it, and you can feel it. You can feel it going down. This is guaranteed to work. You do the fourth one. Now, the salesperson, you deal with that when you talk about people who haven't been salespeople. It's not about selling, it's about what? Sharing. That's what we do. And the last part is, how is this different? Let me walk you through that. But you're dealing with the objection, which means you're controlling the conversation. Fellas, let me just talk to the fellas. Because the fellas will get this. Fellas, you ever come home, and then, I don't know, you stay at the bar just a little too long, or whatever it may be, you played golf too long, and you come home, and your wife's like, where you been? Immediately, what do? Well, okay, so, here's what happened. So I'm with Bill, right? And he says, let's go. Yeah, I didn't want to. He wanted to do that, right? And so I'm looking at this going, I don't want to go with you. I got to be home. I love my wife. I told him that. He knew that. But he didn't care. But I said, okay, I'll have to drive myself home. And so guys, what are you doing? You're like, mentally, you're what? Backpedaling. This is what happens when a customer asks you a question, like one of these objections, and now you find yourself what? Explaining yourself. And when you're explaining yourself, are you winning or losing the conversation? You are losing it, guys, right? Because you're like, So when customers ask you something, you're like, But what if we control the conversation by what? Raising the objections. Cool, yes or no? Yes. If you reduce the resistance, you'll get to the point where there's a what? The buy-in line. Get the idea? Now, what's interesting is that as I stand up here, I can feel your objections. I'm going to give you a live demo. I'm going to stop my own presentation, and I'm going to block one of your responses right now. Ready? Watch this very carefully. Right now, you're thinking, really? Really, Victor? You're thinking this. Victor, does this really work? Just do the alligator arm race if you're thinking that. Right? Right? You're in Florida. You can do it. Right? See, I know that's what you're thinking right now. I know. So do I wait for somebody to say, Victor, does this really work? No. I'm going to block the objection from the stage. It's like a live demo within a presentation. That's a demo. Got it? Good. So, listen carefully. Plexus Peaks is me talking now through the script. So right now you may be thinking, Victor, does this work? In fact, will it work for us? Victor, because we're Plexus. We're pink and we're different. I know you are. I know you are, right? All right, so that's what you're thinking right now. So I say that, you're like, yeah, I was thinking that too. Will it work for me? Now I'll say something like this. I understand your hesitation. I get you. I understand. So let me go ahead and show you someone who thought the same thing but decided to what? Use this. So now I go into my demo. What's the demo? I got to show you something now to prove to you that this can work. You guys ready for it? Yeah. It is now time for just do a little stomping with the feet like a drum roll. It's now time for a